going on, y'all? It's your girl, Tori. Welcome back to another episode, Tori Tells, the podcast. How y'all feeling? I just wanted to check in with you guys for a little bit because I wanted to talk. I realized that when I took that pause, it seemed like confused, like the status quo, or just, there was an expectation and now it's like, where's the next moment of validation? And I really do love that enthusiasm and just checking in to make sure that this place is here to stay. That shows a lot of love. But I wanted to remind you guys, as promised, and I promise I'll do a pod on that at some point. I would do a pod or a conversation on what those quarterly breaks mean. And a lot of times we don't realize you don't really need permission to take a break. And by the end of today's episode, I'm going to explain to you several ways as to why taking quarterly breaks are actually beneficial. So follow me into today's conversation because we're going to tap in on what it truly means to take a break and come back replenished and refreshed. Why quarterly breaks? Why breaks in general? If you truly want to make an impact, especially using social media platforms or even having a podcast, you should be pedal to the metal, right? Well, that's what the world will have you believe. But I want to remind you guys, there's something called motivational fatigue. We'll watch podcasts and self-improvement spaces to learn a little bit more about how to be a better version of ourselves. But don't you notice that every time you go to the podcast, the habit changes. What you have to work on changes. And every week, you're working on a new skill. Every podcast, you're working on something different. For some reason, that's what I noticed. And that's why I had to take a step back from a lot of self-improvement places. Not because they weren't showing me how to be a better person, but because I needed more time to work on those skills. I'm a true believer in working on a habit and making it consistent enough before you pick up something else. That's why I believe in those quarterly breaks, because it allows me the time to actually work on a skill, develop it in real time. Instead of trying to feed within this community different habits to work on every single week. That's just not realistic. And what did we say when we came into this space? It will be authentic and living in reality. And what's real? You're not going to get a habit in one day or 1 week. So give yourself time and stay away from motivational fatigue. Another reason why I take quarterly break, I think the name gives itself away. You see, I was a basketball player. So for me, I think about life in quarters. The year is in quarters. A lot of our day is in quarters. And what I like to think about, if I'm playing a basketball game and I'm in the game for the entire quarter or even the entire half, at some point, the coach is going to give you a sub. So you could take a break, breathe, and then come back ready to rock. And that's what I use these quarterly breaks for in real life. And then come back into the next quarter ready to kill it, ready to take over. But you can't do that if you're fatigued, you're depleted, you have nothing left to give. Think of it like 2K. If that Gatorade cup is up, you need a sub. That's what quarterly breaks are. I think sometimes we forget that just because the world is always going doesn't mean that we can't pause for a second. Our world is consistently changing. Things are always happening. The world will make you feel like if you're not on social media, if you miss the next big break, that you're missing something or you're living under a rock. But the reality is that you don't need permission to stop, to get away from social media for a couple of days, for an hour, whatever it may take. Be present in the world. And I think that's why quarterly breaks that I like to build into the year are important, because it gives you moments in life to be present, to be intentional, and to not always worry about how things look on social media or what the world is going through all at once. Even that brings you fatigue. You ever been on social media for a couple of hours and you start getting a cloudy headache? Sometimes you need to power down. This social media aspect, this entire thing of consistently pushing out content and being present so that the rest of the world could see you through media, it puts this pressure on you. And I want to remind you that that pressure is not real, and at any time you can put that pressure down. Remember, you don't need permission to take a break. Take a step back. In lieu of the idea of like the pressure of social media and the more content you post, the more people will know you. You ever tried for a moment to think about the fact that your grind and the consistency and the things that you do behind closed doors can also add up to that success that you're looking for? Think that the more you're seen, the more valid your work and consistency is. But that's not true at all. What we see on social media, they only become celebrities or famous because of the work that they did behind closed doors. We just don't ever pay attention to. And I think it was something that we point on a lot in some of our moments of validation, is that the real work and the work that matters happens when no one is looking. And so don't ever get it confused that consistently being seen and a consistent grind based on the standard of the world is what really equates to work ethic. It really matters when you compound your days, when you keep showing up, and you don't have to record every bit of that. You could fall in love with the work behind the scenes. So never get tricked into feeling like being more in the limelight is a true reflection of work. That's just a myth. And I'm here to break that for you in this moment of validation. And the last thing I wanted to just remind you guys of, when you think about ever feeling guilty or thinking that if you're taking a break that somebody's going to be working harder than you, someone is going to steal your spot, get those thoughts out of your mind. There's space in this world for everyone to create, for everyone to be the best version of themselves. And you don't have to ever feel like you're competing against the rest of the world. A lot of times the world, they only accept everybody's highlight reel. But highlight reels are not an exact depiction of our reality. Reality is a lot of people who are creating also have different jobs, different responsibilities, different things that they're doing in their day-to-day. But every day they're hustling at something different. And so anytime you see someone taking a pause or stepping back, back, I show them grace. If someone is out here putting out their highlight reels and you're trying to compare yourself to that and add some kind of pressure, remember that your reality in a highlight reel does not compare. So in today's conversation, I truly hope that those several topics help you to remember that taking a break is not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of you slowing down, but it's a sign of you taking a step back to recharge so that you could come back full throttle. And I never want you to feel guilty about it. Take your breaks as you need them. Implement these quarterly breaks. The way that I break it down, I work real hard for 3 months. I show up consistently. No excuses. And then at that 3-month mark, I take up a fasting period. I replenish. Even if it's for an entire month, I take as much time as I need to reset. But that's just me. You could feel like that's something you could break down even in your day. Work hard for 3 hours. In the 4th hour, take a 30-minute break. You can even break this down into weeks. Whatever it is that you need to do to make sure that you're pouring back into your cup so that you could give back to everybody else. But if you're pouring from an empty cup, you're going to be help to no one. I truly hope that today's conversation helped to reassure you. A rest is not a bad thing. It's a moment for you to recharge. It's your girl, Tori. Until next time.